Okay, this is a he351ve GT variable turbo for a Cummins 6.7 liter. I'm going to put it on a 12 valve, so I had to make a spring actuated controller for the variable collar on this thing. I'm not going to use the fleece controller, so we'll see if this works. First thing I did is right here. This is the controller for the collar. The electronics has been removed. I put this little arm on here, and you can see it's got multiple holes in it, so I can fine-tune my spring pressures by using different varying radius here. So that's how that works. And then over here I made this fancy little plate here with spring on it, and this bolts onto that. I did this because I have a few of these turbos actually, and I'm going to make a bunch of these. One for my truck. I have 2 turbos going on another engine for a car. So this goes on like this, and there's already a bolt in there, and I welded that rod on after I put the bolt in, so it'd be too hard to get it in otherwise. But this, you can just kind of fish on over like that. Oops, let me do that again. My camera skills aren't too good here. There's the turbo with the little arm welded on. This thing goes on like this. Okay, there we go. So on the turbo, that's what it kind of looks like. This is a set screw for the max opening of the turbo, so I can adjust how much, it'll open, and this one here is for how much it's closed. I'm not going to be running a Jake brake on this, not as of yet, so that screw just will be able to fine-tune me into getting this thing to give me some good boost at low RPM. So let me go ahead and get some screws in here. I'll get these in just finger tight and show you how this works. We don't need to be tight for the demonstration here. So I'm just using a little, these are N6 by 1 screws, about a 1/2 inch, and with a little lock washer. Like I said, that way I can remove this if I ever need to for whatever reason. If I want to modify this thing, I could probably change this over in here and put 2 outlets to run the antifreeze. Those 2 ports are under here, but since I'm not running the electronics on this thing, I won't be needing the cooling of the antifreeze. Now this one screw under here is going to be a little tricky to get to, but let's see what we got going on here. There it is. But yeah, it works good. Okay. Like that. Try to slow down here a little bit. Like I said, my camera skills aren't that great. It's kind of hard to do this with one hand too. Oops, sorry about that. This one bolt's kind of beating me up a little bit. Like I said, I'm just going to put these in finger tight for right now. That'll be enough to get this thing to work. Okay, so that's with this thing pretty much bolted on. Now, this is just an eye hook, threaded rod with a jam nut. I use this for a jam nut, so I can adjust this. It's about 3 inches, I think, this eye. And if this spring is not quite tight enough, I can always make it a lot tighter by tightening this up. I gave myself quite a bit of adjustment here. And as far as these holes go, like I said, I got quite a bit of different adjusting the radius with this thing. So let me stick it here in this first one. There we go. Okay, so now you can see there's the eye hook, the spring, and down to, I got it way out here, so when I make this work, okay, so exhaust pressure will open this up like this, and that spring will bring it back shut. So the spring tensions are going to be very critical with trying to get this thing to run pretty decent. I'll show you how. This is my set screw. Right now it's on technically Jake brake. This is all the way back, the collar is all the way closed. Of course it won't run that way, so I'm going to go ahead. Here's my jam nut right here. going to go ahead and turn this screw, and you'll notice it should start to open up. You can see how it's starting to open up. So I can adjust this thing anywhere from there. You know, you can see the space in here as I turn this thing, and if I back it off, that space kind of goes away. So turn that, get that open a little bit, and then this thing does the opposite. This one makes it so the collar doesn't open up too much. Screw this thing all the way in. That is welded. I welded that nut there, and that one's loose, of course, is the jam nut. Just a simple little thing here. Now you can see with these, whatever setting it is now, this thing isn't moving too much. It's not going forward, not going back too much. So if I open this up a little bit, use my other hand here. So I back that out quite a bit, and I go down here. This one's a little hard. It's got the spring tension on it. There we go. Now, with both screws all the way out, quite a bit of movement with that collar, like that. So I'll be able to adjust how far the collar closes, how far the collar opens, and then with the spring here, I can change these springs. It's got these at Home Depot. I had a couple different sizes. This is like a 15-pound spring, I guess. With this adjustment here, I could probably make it a little stronger. Depends, you know, on how much I turn this and shorten or lengthen this. And then each one of these holes in the lever arm, again, it's like a drift pin I bought at Home Depot as well, can fine-tune whatever adjustment is, or whatever poundage is in the spring. So I'm hoping to get enough tuning by either changing the pressure of the spring, or changing these radiuses here, or actually adjusting the pressure of the spring with this to make this turbo work halfway decent. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know, like a fleece controller would be, but if I can get a good amount of boost right off idle and neutral, I guess a lot of these variable turbos are getting in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 pounds just by goosing them in neutral, and not overdoing the boost on the other end. I want to try to get 40 or 45 pounds out of it. Whatever spring pressure and adjustments I can do to make that happen, I think will make this turbo work at least better than a fixed AR housing, you know. So this didn't cost me that much to make, just a lot of, you know, little stencils and blah blah blah. So I will get this on the truck sometime in the near future, and when I do that, I'll get back to you guys. But this is just a quick mock-up of this setup, and what I got here as far as this control for this particular turbo.